as they wrap up the preseason against the Eagles. Pregame coverage starts at 10 with a noon kick. Listen to all the games this season right here on KFAN and the free iHeartRadio app.
I haven't seen you or excuse me. All right, 3-2. We have not seen you or chatted with you recently about the Michigan rookie, J.J. McCarthy, and his Vegas game. We got a pick, and then he comes back with a plum, and he's full of fire. But now we have meniscus terrorism, and not that we were going to see him this year, but it's certainly different circumstances with the meniscus. But what were you thinking about all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the excitement around the draft pick, the excitement around JJ, what he did in college, and obviously the opportunity for us to get him kind of in a good spot draft-wise, but I think we all felt good about it. He comes in, throws the pick, and you're like, L, comes back with some fight and vigor, and love it. And, again, like when he's in the covenant, he's one of ours. And when you see a guy go down, obviously everybody, I got a bunch of texts from the organization to say, just like what happened to you should reach out and connect. And I got a chance to get his number, connect with him.
Wow, and against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And, so I've just gone back and forth a few different times and having watched him and understanding kind of what makes him tick and how he operates, just love his energy about it. And I want to get a chance to talk to him directly over the phone just to understand that this is a massive opportunity for him. And I say that because there's no longer pressure from Kwesi, from coach, from him to say he's right there. We're 0-1. Let's panic. Let's go to him. Let's go give him an opportunity. There's the opportunity now for him to sit back and learn. And I think when I look back at my rookie year and having lost that whole thing, which was just a massive L.
Yeah.
When it first happens, you panic. You're like, I want to get on the field. I want to have opportunity to play and my career and the long term, and then just want to build your reputation, expectation as a teammate. But then when I got to week 4, 5, 6, I just started to observe and watch and learn but mostly what not to do, but also what to do. Yeah. Like you start seeing how Hutch attacks workouts and Klein Saucer attacks workouts. You go watch guys study film and watch how Ben Lieber goes about his day as a professional to say, this is what I'm going to model myself after immediately when I get a chance to go do this thing week after week after week. And you see the ups and downs and struggles of dealing with the trainers and the injuries and coming back and what they play through. You gain a perspective, like a redshirt year in college, to say, hey, this is something, here's how I want to act, and here's how I want to be as a pro. And you're going to walk into year 2 having known every piece of the scheme, the ins and outs, seen it work, seen it not work, see the ups and downs of a season, do some travel, understand the flow of how all things work, all while not having the pressure to say, you have to go perform.
Yeah.
Now, come back next year, whatever happens. He's going to get an opportunity at some point. Then it's opportunity. And it's like, what are you going to do with that? But now you're prepared. You know everything is going to happen. You know every expectation. And this is just a massive opportunity for him, I think.
So Charch talked about it last segment, the vacuum of leadership post-Kirk and who fills that role. JJ certainly a guy. Now, into next year, what is the pathway and what does that look like for a quarterback? Kind of re-entering the rookie tag, if you will. What's that pathway for him taking things over and truly cementing himself as a leader of this team?
In some ways, he'll be a rookie again, right? He'll come back because he hasn't earned it, like we said. So you got to earn a level. And this is my issue with Caleb Williams and his talk and his conversation about being that leader over there. He hasn't done a thing. Like, get to week 3 when there's all of a sudden a game plan against what you do well, and how's that going to work? And for JJ, you have to go earn it. The team's not just going to be like, hey, you're the leader, we're going to listen to everything you're saying and doing because you're the quarterback.
You're a quarterback, yeah.
That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's just there's too many guys that have been there, done that in that locker room. They're going to say, yeah, go prove it first. And if we know that you're going to go toe-to-toe with us as a teammate and you're going to go out there and you're going to have some ups and downs and bumps and bruises, but by week 4, we're going to see this guy's a grinder. We like this guy. We want to play for this guy. It'll happen quick from a quarterback perspective. It happens quick from a linebacker perspective because you're calling plays, you're getting guys lined up, but you still have to earn that. And I think JJ will earn it quickly. I think guys are going to see how he operates. Talk about the missed kick in, 2014, whatever year that was?
Which one?
With Walsh?
16.
And you think about that miss, and I think about the reaction to Blair from my perspective was, I've seen this dude grind every day of his career since he got here. Nobody want to make that kick more than that guy. So for me to criticize a guy professionally that I see him work day after day after day, there early, stays late, in the weight room, he does it all. From a teammate perspective, I'm like, that dude want to make that kick. I'm not going to be hard on that guy. How many tackles have I missed? How many missed assignments have I had? How many L's did I have in my career? For him to, he's not criticizing me every time I make a mistake. Same thing with JJ. You got to go earn that though, right? And I think he's gonna earn that by how he works, how he comes back, how he's in the training room, and he'll get it. He'll get it done.
So JJ's going to, to your point, he'll learn things just by being in the quarterback room and observing how things happen, who are the good pros, stuff like that. But obviously he won't be on the field.
Yep.
And he won't be getting into the practice reps. How much do you feel like for you, having lost your rookie year, how much do you feel like that part of it set you back? And how much for J.J. McCarthy, a quarterback, how much you think that sets him back as well?
Doesn't set him back. It just, you have to go through that though. So like we can't wish that to happen because he's just not going to be able to play. So that's going to have to happen in training camp and then preseason next year, and you have to get some reps and be able to go through those live bullets. And then weeks 1, 2, 3, whatever's going to happen, he's got to just overcome those inexperiences. But he's going to be more prepared to do that now than he's ever been before because he knows the scheme, he knows the ins and outs, he knows the decisions. And just because he's not getting the live reps now during the season, as soon as he's able to physically, he'll be out there going through things.
Yeah.
They'll have him in the dome. They'll be getting all the reps. They'll be having receivers from the practice squad come out, and he'll be throwing to them. And you'll be giving as many live opportunities as possible going into the next offseason.
Well, and the key to that, too, is a lot of this offense timing-based, right? So, albeit he's not going to be physically full speed with dropbacks and things, he's going to be able to get the timing of physical throws, whereas when you ripped up your ACL, what was that like for you physically? Because you're losing weight, maybe you got to gain weight back on. What was that process like physically? Because we're talking about two very different universes when it comes to repairing.
I think for him, it's going to be more about understanding how to read a defense and what you don't know leaving college. Like he left college with a general idea, right, of how to read a defense and what's man, what's zone, what are tendencies of guys in the league. Well, he's going to know that now when he gets into the game next year, rather than trying to learn it on the fly right now. For me, I had to get stronger, be able to get off these guys' blocks, like be able to release and go make a tackle. So I had to physically get stronger, and that's why that year I got just the strongest I'd ever been, because my whole focus was just strength building based off of, hey, the coaches are like, well, we see this as an issue. Let's remedy this now this next year. And I had some injuries and stuff that had to be cleaned up. And before you know it, after 4 or 5 months of rehabbing my knee, now I'm stronger. I come back in 2007, ready to rock, beat Joey Harrington and the Falcons, and away you go.
How long did it take you to make that first confidence?
That's not an accomplishment.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
No, it's not.
They all count, Charch. How long did it take you to make the first super confident cut?
I had gone through ACL before in college, so I had already gone through it once. So I had the understanding of what it was going to take, and I was rushed back in college, and I wasn't rushed back because the IR. There's nowhere to go. So I would say you're really first strong cut, like I'm a professional athlete cut, like 8 months in.
Wow.
And you can start running it 2 months after ACL, the way I did mine. Start running it 2 months, start training, start building strength. But about 8 months, 6 months into that rehab of actual work, you can feel confident. But I still think it's a 12 to 13 month recovery where you actually feel like you're being yourself.
It's amazing how different the ACLs are for everybody.
Yeah.
And even when, some are bad and there's also an MCL in there and other things, like Adrian popped back and had a historic season, on 8 months layoff.
Yep.
Whereas other players, J.K. Dobbins, that just ruins your career.
Yeah,
You're just never the same guy.
Unfair assessment with Adrian with that vampire blood he has.
Is he
The difference in even like in JJ's injury, without knowing and looking under the hood of what's actually happening and what they're telling us and what's real. I mean, I had 4 of those meniscus injuries.
Yeah.
But it's the severity within that range of that causes the miss or I played on one after 10 days. Because it was a cleanup.
Yeah.
And those injuries, but they can also be really severe and set you back. And if you don't remedy them the right way, it'll be an issue forever. So good on the staff to not rush, not go another direction from a medical standpoint, but to say, let's get this kid right for his career.
I recall Roger Craig when he finished his career with the Vikings.
He
had knee surgery in the same week he played. He had the surgery on a Monday and he played on a Sunday.
Roger Craig played with the Vikings.
Am I forgetting this? I swear
Roger Craig, Vikings old schoolers.
Who am I
sure
thinking
that was the
of?
Niners.
Yeah, we got a bunch of yeses.
Am I
high stepper Niners?
The crazy high step.
Terrific.
I swear. Am I correct?
Number 33 in the 2 years.
Thank you.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
Give him
I'm not
19
crazy.
games, 92 and 93.
Must have good fantasy years.
And when he played for the 49ers, there were two identifiable things with that team outside of Montana, Rice, and Taylor and Dwight Clark. One, the high stepping of Roger Craig. The other, Merton Hank's neck.
The longest neck in the history of the NFL.
Iowa Hawkeye Merton Hanks.
And he had that move.
How about
Ronnie
Lott, though? Ronnie Lott? Are you kidding?
Oh, with 9 fingers? Yeah.
That was who I did fall in love with the Niners in the 90s because of Ronnie Lott.
Bro, you played with Bob Sanders, didn't you?
I played with Bob Sanders.
Yeah. Bob was Lott-esque, you know?
They had to take Bob out of practice. They're like, Bob, your pads are off. Go sit on the sidelines. He would murder kids at practice. These poor kids would come in, hey, I'm going to walk on you and see if Iowa smack.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Hey, thank you for helping today. And 2 weeks from today, we'll see you at Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale for the Friday Football Feast, all right?
Sounds good.
Hey, Chad Greenway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Salt of the Earth right here on and off the field. 9 to noon continues around the corner from the State Fair, so don't leave.
Nothing defines Minnesota quite like its 10,000 lakes, and we need to keep them beautiful. Post on social media using the hashtag #ChooseChill to help Coors Light, KFAN, and Conservation's Minnesota protect the lakes, rivers, and waters we love. Hashtag #ChooseChill.
Dang it. I forgot to bring this up with Chad Greenway when he joined us for the better part of an hour. Welcome back to 9 to noon. It involves the NFL term ear-holing, okay? So,
okay.
Yeah, like he got ear-holed, all right? I mean, I think I know what it is. I've seen it. It's a side hit when somebody doesn't see it coming.
Right.
But Greenway's been part of them, or he has executed them. And the reason that I wanted to bring it up with him, and I'll bring it up for you guys, is I put far too much time in watching these preseason kickoffs. Okay, you can find a lot of them on YouTube, a lot of them through the True Media film site that I have, and the reason I'm looking for them is because I know that simply by watching Vikings practices, the special teams coordinators are holding back on everything. All right. So there are practices that, like you'll see special teams coordinator Matt Daniels, like look over the sideline. Okay. The media is watching Darnold and Jefferson against the Browns ones. Yeah. All right, let's do it. So they run some double teams and some traps and some plays where Wanwu, when he gets out to the sideline, it's over. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work that easily in the regular season, but everybody has plays, not surprisingly, okay? So when I watch them, I'm trying to find, like, what are the most important spots here? I've been told in the XFL with the kick coverage what the most important spot was, but I still don't get it because nobody's doing anything. So, like, my initial take earlier this week, and I truly believe this, is now if you have a good to really good defense, okay? Statistically speaking, tough guys and you're healthy. It makes no sense to give anybody a chance to return. Bang it out the end zone, let them start at the 30. I got Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and these guys, and here we go. But that's not every team, okay? And discretion, valor is going to become the better part of discretion with this thing because it's new and in an image, at times a narcissistic game, image-conscious game where it's super competitive and you got to keep up with the Joneses, and I'm better than that Jones and that Jones, they might think. Well, they think they have plays that they absolutely positively want to run. So I think for those with the kickoff return, I think there is going to be an explosive nature to it early in the season. Okay, like weeks 1, 2, and 3 before I know that
figured everything out.
See what I'm saying? So I think some teams are going to bust some. Now, the other side of it, which I wanted to talk to Chad about. That's cool. We can do it next week or the week after. Is if they're 5 yards apart, okay, so therefore you can't get full run.
Right.
But there's part of it you can tell now where you're getting one guy blocked, okay, so I'm blocking Charch, Nordo's on my team. While I'm engaging Charch because I need that lane, Nordo comes over and ear holes you. Yeah. Okay, so here's the point.
Watch yourself. He'd do it, by the way.
The point is you're
on my blind side right now.
The NFL wants to take a dead play and bring it to life, which I believe it has. However, there also is a safety component to this where, hey, we got these 225-pound guys flying down the field at 30 miles per hour, and the concussion rates over the last 30 years with 10,200 kickoffs is this, and we're going to eliminate that. Yeah, okay, I agree with that. There ain't nothing good about getting hit when you don't see it coming. And I don't care if the guy is 9 feet away from you or 90 yards. They still know how to do it, and it hurts. And it's the neck and the side, and they don't see it coming, so they don't contort their bodies. So I'm just saying that if this thing works out with some things that I've seen in certain games with just these little side hits on a double team, they're ear holes. They don't see them coming, and there are going to be injuries on these kick returns. I swear the NFL does not see coming now. So just keep that in mind.
Which would be ironic considering they're trying specifically to build this thing around there not being injuries.
Agreed.
The other thing that may happen with that is it may spring some big plays where somebody does get ear-holed, completely taken out of a play, and now somebody's off and running. I've only seen one big gain so far for myself on the kickoffs.
Yeah, there's one. What was the name? Was it with the Titans?
Titans guy. Yep, like number 8 or something.
And he didn't even get to the end zone.
No, he didn't.
My man got tired.
Yeah.
Now the Britton Covey. I think it's either Covey or somebody for the Eagles got loose 26-27, and it had a chance, and it was the kicker stop won.
Yeah.
But I can see what's happening here, and again by watching some plays in Vikings practice, and Kane's high end, 3 kick return,
and he'll be our guy, right?
And and Daniels is high end too. He's aggressive. He's just not afraid. He doesn't play afraid. So I see some things that are happening to free these returners. On the other side of it, with other games, I'm not seeing it in our games. Maybe I haven't watched closely enough. Is these double teams to get that lane? I got Charch engaged, and it's too claustrophobic to have your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Here comes the con from 10 feet away, burying you legally from the side, but you can't contort your body to brace for the hit.
And I've been thinking about it all week.
And I'm
Really? Yeah, I bet.
And I'm predicting that there are going to be some significant injuries that take place early in this equation. You guys laugh about it now. We'll see what happens.
Well, no, but don't you think those instances already occur, though?
Well, you know what instance just occurred? I forgot to turn off auto draft in my Charch league.
Oh, no.
Well, that's okay.
What'd you get?
Caleb Williams and Keon Coleman.
All right.
I wanted Zay Flowers and Caleb, but somebody sniped me.
I love the Caleb Williams, but he's my most drafted quarterback.
Yeah, and then I got the Buffalo guy who I love. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I'm going to turn this auto draft off right now.
There's a little button there, yeah.
Yeah, I just think that there are already those instances that occur when you're trying to build lanes.
App's the bomb.
Instead of them starting 5 yards apart. And I think on the return team, there are 2 guys additionally that are about maybe, let's say, 7 or 8 yards away from the opponent.
Yeah.
It looks like it lines up. There's 7 on the line,
Yep.
2 behind them, and, and then I've seen mostly 2 returners.
Yeah.
I think that the ear holing, I think those blindside blocks, I just looking at enough kickoffs, and frankly, because it's been such a non-effective play, it's not like I'm drilling down kick return coverage and those things. I've just seen enough guys end up just wildly flailing and getting knocked to the side.
Yes.
But as part of that, I do these explosive plays and the potential, how they use those 2 guys that are off the line that create that double, and the strategy behind it. And we have spent a lot of time on the new kickoff, but it is super weird. And there is, we saw it in the Raiders game, PA, Daniel Carlson, one of the best field goal kickers in the NFL. Yep. His first kick went to the end zone, and effectively, I think the team started at the 30 then.
Yep.
And then he missed completely the landing zone, and the Vikings were taking it at the 40.
Yep.
There are massive implications to an otherwise boring-ass play for the, for the last decade plus. And so I'm more focused on the explosive plays. Kene Nwanwu getting into open space. He's going to have, by the time he's clear of blockers, he's going to have more run up on the kicker or the last man standing, so to speak, with more space than they have in the past. Once these guys figure it out and once these guys get some reps and rhythm with it, it could be pretty fun.
Can we talk about Kene?
Yeah.
That kid is a different player this year.
Yeah.
He's bulked up.
To a certain extent.
He's bulked up.
He still wants nothing to do with anything between the tackles. That's the problem when you're a running back.
Well, it is. But I want to believe when I see him running the ball now, I see a kid who looks like a running back, not a special teams player who's masquerading as a running back.
Yep.
I see somebody who's got more confidence, who's cutting harder. He always had like the vertical speed.
Oh, great.
I just feel like just looking at him in this preseason, he looks different. And I wonder if there isn't going to be some part of a rotational role for Kene as a running back this year. And
I'd say no.
You don't think so?
At least unless somebody's nicked.
Yeah.
I mean, it was your guy, Ty Chandler. Okay? He was a healthy inactive at Cleveland.
That's a good sign. That's what you want to be.
Congratulations.
That's right.
You've come that far with your pass protection.
Good point.
And that far with your understanding of how this thing works that we don't care that everybody knows we're going to keep you by making you a healthy inactive here. You've earned it. So that just kind of shows you with Jones and Chandler, those two. I see what you're saying with Kene because he'll be active every game. Package guy. But see, when you bring Kene in, they're going to know in 1 second, zero chance they run in between the tackles. They're probably going to want to sell something or get something wide. So we have to be on our P's and Q's with what's happening off this,
Yep, and that's, that if you can't establish that Kene can run inside, it's going to be a serious limiter for him. And, Latavius Murray was the opposite of that. Could only run inside. He had no vertical ability. And you always knew that you were coming A gap or B gap. Kene might have the other side of that. Now,
but
Chandler's
in the depth of that, though, and in combination with Kene, with the new kickoff bit as we transition to Kene, I felt like in some ways I'm thinking about 2 or 3 guys, whether it's Brandon Powell, whether it's Kene Nwanwu, who are guys that have accentuated various aspects of their value to the team. So even if Kene, like last year he had 5 carries. So I wouldn't anticipate him getting 100 this year. I wouldn't anticipate even 50, maybe 10 in the totality of the 2024. But he's among, I think, several guys with some different aspects of their game that are like, I want to stay here. I want to, and I think that Kene, from a running standpoint, albeit in preseason games, has certainly changed his body and changed the look on the field.
So Jahan Dotson gets traded to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And it was a 3rd-round pick Howie Roseman gave up. And he got the player and gave up a 7th. Well, then I see a story this morning. Then I look at your notes about Brandon Ayuk with the Niners and some Washington's team with the Commanders. So I re-looked at the deal and I'm like, oh, now I understand why you may have needed that 3rd round, that 3rd round pick, Commanders, because they ain't going to give up. Maybe they would give up McLaurin. I mean, I like Terry a lot. I think Brandon's better over the totality of a season, but the Brandon Ayuk saga should be coming to a conclusion relatively soon. One
way or another, it should be. He is a hold in right now with the 49ers. The reason that it makes some sense to connect him to Washington now is there's an opening in the starting lineup now.
Yeah.
He would have beaten out Dotson no matter what.
Right.
But and you mentioned the 3rd round pick. Okay, so that's some of the draft capital you're going to have to go give up to get Brandon Ayuk. And get this, Washington right now has the 4th most cap space this year, the 4th most next year, and the 6th most the year after that.
Wow.
They can bring in Brandon Ayuk and immediately give Jaden Daniel a huge complimentary piece to go with Terry McLaurin, and frankly, better than Terry McLaurin.
They'll keep McLaurin too, I bet you, because it's at so well. I wouldn't have said that a month ago. Like, had they been flirting with each other, because next level, Shanny would have been like, okay, well, I need this guy because McLaurin's tough. I mean, he's Ayuk strong, very good in the run force. Brandon Ayuk's one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the NFL, but he can obviously catch. He's from that 2020 class. But now it's lingered so long and we're close to the season. I just feel it's getting to the point of, okay, is your problem. We'll take that 3rd. We'll take this 2nd here. So I think it's going to strictly be draft picks. They're going to, I bet you if it happens, they keep McLaurin and Ayuk for the LSU kid with play action off Robinson. Who's their other back they have?
Austin Eckler.
That's right, Eckler.
Yes.
Wow.
Well,
a little something going there.
They might.
The Niners, though, and he's not ready. McLaurin would be a better wide receiver right now. But I was just looking. They did take Ricky Pearsall in the
Niners
first round.
Right. That's part of why they don't need a receiver
and
back.
Pearsall is scrappy as bleep.
And so it always
That's
looked,
a great take.
It always looked like it would just be a draft. Now, you're not giving up your first for Ayuk, are you? And then you have to pay.
I don't think so. I think it'll be something closer to a second and a fourth.
Second, third,
right?
second, third,
yeah,
fourth.
it's going to be something like that.
Yeah, because the Niners are the desperate bunch now.
Well,
with this thing, because he ain't playing for him.
No.
Well, they always do, though. I mean, you got to go back to Le'Veon Bell to find somebody who actually ended up turning away paychecks and not playing.
Would you say that effectively killed his career?
It did.
Yeah.
And he said as much. He ultimately decided not to take that deal with the Steelers, goes to the Jets. He's on a horrible team. His career is over a year later.
Yeah.
He's like, what'd I do? He was beloved in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Didn't he end up boxing Adrian Peterson? I mean, he went from trying to work that contract almost Latrell Sprewell style, and then years later,
beat his family.
He's boxing all day.
It came to that for him, which is it's really tragic. So for Ayuk, at the end of the day, the team's got way more leverage. The players almost always end up buckling, and he may just have to play on the current year deal that he's on and just be stuck with it. I know he doesn't want that, but that might just be the reality of it.
But I think actually right now the players might have a little more leverage. If you're Ayuk, you're going to immediately get paid by Washington. I mean, with San Francisco, he's the second or third guy on the list.
Yeah.
Whether it's Trent Williams, I mean, there are a couple of guys that want some more cash right now. They're trying to find it in couch cushions. There you go.
Well, per the Tolstoy, and I would agree with you, even more so than the new kickoff rule, the rookie quarterbacks have been the story of the preseason. And the way Caleb Williams played in the Buffalo game was quite eye-opening. In that he went off schedule, which is something he's who said it yesterday? Somebody shared 9 to noon yesterday that like Caleb Williams is like part of the first generation of those who grew up watching Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And they want to flick it, and they want to go behind the back, and they want to play like Mahomes, which is not a bad thing. So Williams, for the most part, he started out slowly in camp, then he tore up Buffalo. Drake May, Sunday night against Washington, he and Jacoby Brissett legitimately are battling for the starting job. And I think Gerard Mayo is being truthful with this, that, practice matters, film matters, but this game's big for them, and we're going to make a decision after this so May could start. Bo Nix won the job in Denver, low-rated race, but he won it for as much as I or we tease the head coach. A very offensively gifted mind is Sean Payton. So Bo Nix at age 24, he'll be 25, I think, in January or February, so he's of the older variety. He wins that job. Payton is going to do everything he can to, first and foremost, make Sean Payton look right for taking him.
Yep.
And secondly, win games. so that's what's coming with Denver.
Secondarily, yes.
McCarthy, I shared this last week with Nordo when the knee popped and the news popped, is that, it's Tuesday and we're going to Cleveland for that 4.5 days. And the majority of the opinions from the right people were, we know what we have. Is like, this sucks, and it'd be great to have him around, but we're extremely happy with what we have.
Yeah.
And it's not going to change. So they're happy with the stock they have. And these rookie quarterbacks, man, have looked really good this preseason.
Well, if Bo Nix ends up working out, man, that's going to be hard for me emotionally, because this is going to be a huge win for Sean Payton. I think Bo Nix, to me, is the epitome of what you don't want in a college player trying to transition to the NFL.
What do you mean?
He was a one-read short passer, and he would make that one read, but almost whatever it took to get that one read. He would send the ball there.
Yeah.
He did not make his progressions.
Yeah.
He was not somebody who was an accomplished downfield passer. I mean, just all these things that we want in the NFL, Bo Nix didn't have. If Sean Payton can reverse that.
Yep.
God,
I never watched him play in college. I mean, I saw maybe 5 highlights, but I've watched probably 40, 50 of his plays in the pre. He can run. I had no idea he could run the way he runs. Wow, and he's big too. Mm-hmm. So it ain't easy to bring him down, Bo Nix.
Is there any QB that doesn't have some running ability now? Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking about first generation of guys that grew up and thinking about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But is
like
there,
the age of Joe Flacco is gone.
I mean,
Eli Manning is gone.
Correct. Yeah, Joe Milton.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he can throw it apparently 70 yards on his knees. I don't know what his NFL career looks ahead. He's a late round pick.
I do.
Yeah.
I know what his
But
NFL
Spencer
career
Rattler
looks like.
Spencer Rattler can run a little bit. I can't think of a QB now that it's almost
Stafford. Stafford would be one.
Goff.
Goff would be another.
Kirk, of course.
Kirk, you can't call him a runner. Geno Smith doesn't like running.
No.
He can move a little bit. Doesn't like running. Old people don't like running.
But those
kids
guys
entering
will
now,
all be gone,
right,
and they'll be replaced.
Trevor
with
Lawrence
all
is
kids
a non-running. He's a pocket quarterback.
Yeah, mostly.
He can slide a little bit. There ain't many.
And people might be thinking Drake May. Dude can run.
Yeah,
Drake May can run too.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got that big frame. It's now kind of a positional requirement. Now JJ McCarthy was also a good runner.
Yeah.
We'll see if this knee surgery saps any of that. I don't think it will.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's significant enough. But we'll be watching that as well.
It's raining at the state fair, and that may be bad news for you right now. Until we share what we have at the pro shop.
T-shirts. We have T-shirts. We have sweatshirts. But maybe most importantly, ponchos.
Ponchos.
All
right around the corner. Go on and get them.
So check out and see if the fan booth has a poncho for you. I know we sold an absolute bleep ton of them yesterday.
Yeah, bleep ton.
We were the water in the desert, and in this case, we were dry in the wetland.
Ocean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Gotta get those ponchos.
But if we have some ponchos, you can grab them over here at the fan booth. Thanks
Now,
for
do they have
hanging
a
out with
pithy
us in the weather.
saying on them like all our T-shirts do?
It might just say KFAN.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, they say you won't
Cisco.
get wet.
Yeah, right.
And for a nominal fee.
Right.
That's Paul Charchian, and I'm Paul Allen. This is the Friday football feast at the Great Minnesota Get Together. And when we return, there is a certain team in the NFC that is not in the NFC North, which means it's not the Minnesota Vikings, on which Paul Charchian now officially is drunk. He was buzzed for a few weeks talking about it and everything. He's drunk on this team now. We got to talk about that next.
Your Minnesota Lynx return home tonight to wrap up a home and away series against the Las Vegas Aces. You can catch the game right here on KFAN or anywhere you go with the free iHeartRadio app.
So, at first, it was the Atlanta Falcons to win the NFC South. Okay, minus 110 or something like that. It was close to a pick.
Yeah, minus 110.
And then it was like the Atlanta Falcons to not play in the wild card round. And then it was the Atlanta Falcons to host a playoff game and be favored by 4.5 or more at home. That's how much they've improved. It now has come to, my man has gone from being buzzed on the Atlanta Falcons. He's drunk on everything that is Arthur Blank, Home Depot, and Dirty Bird.
And Kirk Cousins.
And Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons and Kyle Pitts. Paul put in the Tolstoy, which is his book of bits he so kindly sends every week. Atlanta to be the number one seed in the playoffs in the NFC. Number one seed. Best record.
Yep.
It all goes through Hotlanta. It's plus 750, which actually means it's probably plus 620, but 750 sounds better on the radio for the purpose of big takes. But it's plus 750, plus 7.5 to 1. You put up 100, Atlanta's the one, and 750 is light. From where it used to be. You put up 100 on Atlanta. They finish 15-2, and they have the number one seed in the NFC. You win 750, you scoop 850.
Let me make my case.
Yeah, you're drunk on this team now.
I kind of am. Now, don't confuse. Now, again, the bet is the Falcons to be the number one seed in the NFC. That's not the same as saying they're the best team in the NFC.
No, it's the one seed.
It says they're going to have the most wins.
Yeah.
Here's why I think it can happen. And at first, if you just, if you hate Kirk and you think he's no good, then, you can just stop listening because it doesn't matter. But as a reminder, he was the NFL's passing leader when he went down last year. I love the acquisition of Matthew Judon. You got the best defensive player from the Patriots for a third rounder. That helps a ton. He's going to bring a lot of pressure. That's great. Now, Falcons also get, and here's where it gets really compelling. They've got 5 or 6 wins in their division. This is the worst division in football, the NFC South.
Yeah.
So 5 or 6 wins there. Now, they have the easiest strength of schedule 2 different ways. Based on last year's winning percentage, but also based on this year's Vegas implied win totals. Falcons have the easiest schedule. Listen to some of the non-division wins they've got coming up. Falcons.
Yeah.
Will play Seahawks, Broncos, Chargers, Vikings, Raiders, Giants, Commanders. That
So you
those
think-
are all games that I think they will be favored in.
You think
and they will win most
You
of
think
those
they'll
games.
be favored here?
Yes.
It's a December game, I believe, so it's a little difficult to look at now. But anyway.
Yep, I think they'll be favored here. I think
but that's what you got to do when you house a plus 750. You have to prognosticate and hypothetically speaking, look that far ahead.
So now, just with their divisional wins, the teams I just talked about, you're sitting in like the 11-12 win range, somewhere in there. Now, they've got some more evenly matched matchups, Dallas and Pittsburgh, that I think are about the same.
Yeah.
They might split there.
Yeah, I got Dallas on like 9 wins this year. I think regression is coming.
I agree with that.
I might be wrong. They win 12 every year.
I think Pittsburgh's going to be better than most people think. But and then we're throwing one upset for the Falcons. Now we're sitting at like 14 wins. And that's all I need for my number one seed to come in.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, in the NFC North, right, so this is just the NFC for the Falcons to finish number one. Your NFC North, Lions, Packers, Bears are going to beat up on each other. Vikings sprinkle in a win, something like that. The 49ers have got...
Sprinkle in a win. Hey, thanks for the win. But anyway.
in the division, yes.
Yeah, we'll see, right?
49ers have tough games against the Rams, for sure. Seahawks to some degree. And the Eagles and Cowboys have to deal with each other in the East. So I think there's a real pathway for the Falcons to not be the best team in the NFC, but to have the most wins and be the number one seed.
I mean, it's an outside-of-the-box take. And I think at one point it was 12-13 to 1 for this very same thing.
Was it really?
Then it got steamy. After Judon, then Simmons comes in.
Yes.
Cousins is on track, to play when they thought he would play, and you might be onto something there.
This is really an unbelievable. I mean, they have at Philly, and then they're hosting the Chiefs weeks 2 and 3.
Those are tricky, and then after that, it's just a cakewalk.
Seattle and the Chargers. So they're not they're the longest trip. They do have to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you think of the Raiders. But they don't travel very far for any of these games. They basically stay in the Eastern time zone the entire time. They get the good side of hosting the Cowboys.
Yeah.
This is an easy
but here is what the true 9 to noon Friday football feast problem is going to be. Is Paul puts his money where his mouth is, and he takes L's, but he also finds W's that pay quite well too on stuff like this. It's going to be December whenever we play oh my God, Kirk O'Chill.
Yeah.
And, they're going to be sitting at a point where they have to have the win for you to scoop. And we're going to do a Friday football feast somewhere, and you're going to be rooting for the Falcons with 150 people there. Are you kidding me?
I hope I hope that's not the case.
No, it better not be the case.
The Vikings are playing meaningful ball at that point in early December. We'll find out if it works out that way.
Thank you for aiding us in the final hour. Nordo and I are off to Philadelphia for the preseason game tomorrow. Nordo producing it on the radio. What do you have in store for the final hour?
My Fantasy Football Weekly co-host, Scott Fish, nice enough to battle traffic with me. We're going to do, since Thank you, brother. We will not have a Saturday morning Fantasy Football Weekly show like we normally do because of the conflict with the Vikings game. We're going to do an hour of Fantasy Football Weekly coming up next. Can't wait for that. A lot of fantasy talk, getting people ready to draft.
That's Paul Charchian for Eric Nordquist. I'm Paul Allen. Thank you for coming out to the fair. Charch with the Fantasy Football Feast around the corner. Then the program with Dan Cole, the Common Man, at noon. You're listening to KFAN.